Fox Sports NFL Sunday. Also Bellator MMA broadcaster and analysis. But what I know him so well for is the founder of Merging Vets and Players MVP. Good friend of mine, good friend of the show. Welcome, Jay. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. A lot of people don't know, but you and I, we knew each other, of course, when I played. You worked a lot for CBS when I was down in Tampa, and you learned a few things about me and my teammates with Lynch and with Rondé and all those guys. But we went our separate ways, right? You moved up the ladder. I fell to the bottom of the earth. And about 2.5 years ago, Nate Boyer brought me into a little program you started. And what has transpired since that moment? I mean, really.
You came into the gym. The best part is Nate brings you in, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm bringing Ryan Leaf." And I go, "Ryan Leaf? Don't bring that beep, 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 beep in here." And Nate, being the great human being that he is, goes, "Hey, Jay, you don't decide who we help." Freaking Nate! Why do you got to be such a good person? And then, for the people out there who don't know, it was amazing. We had a veteran in there who was going over, and he was homeless, and he was talking how he met this girl and had no value. And man, Ryan raised his hand from the back of the room, and he said, "If you guys talking about value of money, just so you guys know, my name's Ryan Leaf, and I had everything. I had all the money in the world I could possibly want, and I ended up." After my career ended, and what'd you say, Ryan? He said, you had what, a mansion in San Diego, multi-million-dollar contract, and still, even with that, you try to kill yourself. So money doesn't solve everything. And then you were making, was it $15 an hour driving people to and from rehab?
Yep, $15 an
hour.
hour.
Like, it's the happiest I've ever been. And I'm like, oh my God, this dude could save millions of lives if we bottle this up, man, and get it out there. And certainly that's what's happened, dude. I'm very proud of you. And I know it's a daily battle for you and anybody else, but it's, nothing's done perfectly. But the fact that you keep doing it more and more and more, that's the journey is the success. It's not, you don't suddenly finally get somewhere and that's it. It's this journey of ups and downs that's a success. And, I thank God every day of my life that you walked in that gym, because you became a vehicle for us also to help save lives. And I think that's going to be my legacy. That's why God put me here on the earth, to try and use my big mouth to save the lives of our veterans and a lot of these players and athletes that have, been around for so many years in the NFL. And have somebody like you come in there and help this journey with me, I'm forever grateful.
What's been the biggest takeaway in transformation, seeing these vets and former players come together? Why does it work so well?
I think they look up to each other. And it's badasses empowering other badasses. And football players and they've always looked up to combat vets, and, athletes look up to combat vets, and combat vets look up to pro athletes. When they're out there in battle, and these guys are out there days on end, they look forward to getting back to base and watching a football game or watching a fight or watching a game. It just, the commonality between the two. It just made so much sense to put these two together and have them coach each other up. And Ron, you've been in the room. This is the smartest group of people you'll ever be around in your life. Every Wednesday night, we meet at Unbreakable at my gym up in Hollywood for the LA chapter. And it's the only group that could talk about suicide, could talk about depression, could talk about guys getting blown up, shot at, shot down, and laugh 2 minutes later. And it really is incredible how much tolerance this room has. They even say, they said, hey, we may not agree with everything that everybody says or doesn't here, but we fought for your right to do something we don't agree with. Even that alone is so much better of a statement than anything I could ever come up with.
It is. It's been transformational in my life. I know it's been transformational in yours. We're listening to Jay Glazer from Fox NFL Sunday, NFL Insider. I wanted to talk a little bit about, of course, the big prognostication you made a couple months ago about Odell Beckham Jr., of course, possibly being on the trade block. You got a lot of feedback for that. And then early last week.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah. Late last week, it goes down.
Yep.
Gettleman sends him over. Cleveland now reunited with Jarvis Landry and now with second-year quarterback Baker Mayfield. Talk to us about how that all transpired and played out.
look, when I said it, I made it was a prediction, but it was something I knew was going to happen. That I was really kind of surprised what the reaction was because I started in New York. People knew I've had a lot of Giant stories. I've been very wired in there since 1993. So the reaction back, like it wasn't going to happen, or I didn't know what I was talking about, kind of taken aback. I was like, hey, you're my people. But then they really started firing off in the way only New Yorkers can. So I fired off in a very New Yorkers way as well. And but it was interesting. It's like a couple of years ago, I said on Fox NFL Sunday that Jim Harbaugh would not be back as head coach of the 49ers no matter what, even if they won the Super Bowl that year. And I got killed for that, but it ended up happening. And this reaction was probably 10 times more violent and more vitriol than that one. And it's like, hey, I'm just telling y'all what's going to happen. That's what you guys pay me for. You guys as the fans, it's what you guys pay me for. And, if I say something, I want to make sure I'd rather be right 100% of the time and never first on a story and first on a bunch of them and
be wrong
5% of the time. I want people to know if I say something on Fox NFL Sunday or anywhere else, you can take it to the bank. And, I have a responsibility to even the other guys on the show that's the level I compete at or perform at. So I was taken aback by it, but it's also, Ryan, it was information that I had that I knew was going on. And, I know David Gettleman has come out also today, I think, and talked and said, well, this is just something that came about with the Browns. That's true. It came about late with the Browns, but this was just, sometimes a relationship just fizzles out.
This offseason has been already fireworks galore, right? Le'Veon Bell is gone. Antonio Brown is gone. Yet there's still rumblings out of Pittsburgh that the real issue may have truly been, and we saw it with the Colbert quote about having 52 kids in the locker room, it may ultimately be Big Ben. Our franchise quarterbacks, do they have too much power in those locker rooms that it could decimate an entire franchise? One even like the Pittsburgh Steelers that has been dominant for years and years and years?
Well, I don't know if it's decimated because they've been dominant for so long. It may be coming to a head right now.
Right.
And again, sometimes relationships just, just time. Ben definitely has a lot of juice in there. I wouldn't have come out and said that he has that much juice because it alienates everybody else. I didn't really get that. But yeah, we know that quarterbacks have an awful lot of power, and they end up spending more time with their head coach if he's an offensive coach. And yeah, that's that's your field general, if we want to go with a military term.
When you have an offseason like this, sometimes the quiet ones are making the biggest advances, right? Where has it been quiet this offseason for players that need to make a big jump into this year? And what are you expecting from people like, let's say, Sam Darnold, who just picked up Le'Veon Bell, others that are having a really quiet offseason like it should be, not a lot of news, and we're going to see them when camp opens up in late July?
It's interesting. The way this offseason's gone, it's going this way because, it's a copycat league. So 2 years ago, the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and they did it by bringing in a bunch of guys and trading for the Ajayi and, signing Alshon and, building the offensive line. They did that. They wheeled and dealed. And then last year, the Rams did an awful lot of wheeling and dealing. So I think people look and go, oh, that's the norm for right now. And the league is cyclical, and it'll go back down because, I like what the Colts have done. They've had all this money, and they're like, we're just not going to spend it during the insanity phase. There's always an insanity phase of free agency. Always happens. But if you sit tight, then all of a sudden you can start getting these really great deals like, Bears did with HaHa. And, there's a couple other, there'll be a couple other studs that kind of dropped out here you can kind of get for these lower deals now that things calm down. But, it's the insanity of that first wave. There's always a huge divide between those who end up spending and those who say, let's just wait it out.
We're listening to Jay Glazer, NFL insider, Fox NFL Sunday, more importantly, founder of MVP, Merging Vets and Players. You can go to www.vetsandplayers.org to check it out. Let's get you out of here with this one. the big story, of course, in the offseason, I think before the OBJ trade was Antonio Brown. Where is he going to go? What are the Oakland Raiders doing? Is it something that is going to be impactful enough this year to be competitive in the AFC West, or is this still going to be a work in progress for a couple more years under John Gruden?
I still think they need to help that defense, right? They need pass rushers. They need to help that defense out. Having a guy like AB certainly helps. It's interesting. People are going, why AB only go for 3 and a 5, and Odell went for a 1, a 3, and Peppers. The difference is that the Steelers, they showed their hand. There was no poker. They're like, we just, addition by subtraction, we want to get rid of them. Where the Giants were able to hold their cards much closer to the vest and act like, oh, well, we're not going to do it. Like, we're not desperate to get rid of them. If something comes along, we'll do it. Even though I know that, their intention was to trade them. There was they played it differently. AB is still one of the most dynamic playmakers in the NFL, but the Raiders had an awful lot of holes that they need to fill over there. But I think the key is, how do they use these draft picks? They use these draft picks well, and they hit on them, then, yeah, the Raiders are building the right way. If they don't, then, getting rid of Khalil Mack still didn't make a lot of sense.
Are they solid on, is Derek Carr going to be the guy moving forward in Oakland, or is there still a chance that he's not what John Gruden necessarily wants in his kind of offense, and there could be a quarterback change still before the start of the season?
Man, I'm not going to predict anything the Raiders do, because every time you think they're going to do one thing, they do another. They just, even when I was the one who broke the story about them looking to trade Amari Cooper, and they said, nope, not happening, and he was traded a few days later, or a week later. Even with how the whole Khalil Mack thing went down, they kind of go back and forth. I do think they have a grown-up in the room now, and Mike Mayock. I think that's great. They got a grown-up in that room that's going to help that team.
Well, thanks, Jay. Jay Glazer from Fox NFL Sunday, as well as NFL Insider. I just want to, of course, say to you, you're a huge factor in the fact that I'm actually sitting up here hosting the show today. I am so grateful that you got to be on the show today to share this with me. So I appreciate you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. I'd rather be late and right every single time than first and wrong, a portion of the time. Keep it up. We'll look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Love you, man. And remember, I hope you took my advice and you wore pants in studio today. Are you wearing pants?
I didn't. I thought that would help. with the nerves a little bit.
How many times we got to go over this? Man, you just don't learn.
I'm still learning about this broadcasting entertainment business. Jay Glazer, everybody, Fox NFL Sunday,
Thanks,
mentor of mine. He's awesome. He's always great. He's helped me a ton.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.